4 seconds.
Good afternoon, this is Oxinity Channel in Education. One thing I love about our community, about Oxinity, is the diversity of cultures and accents and experiences that we have. In our teaching community, we have people from the 5 continents, from all over the world. And I personally have learned a lot about their cultures and things that I never imagined before. So what we have in common with all of them is that one day we decided to make one of the biggest changes in our lives and move to a foreign country, starting a new life. So we're going to talk today about the challenges and opportunities of being an expat and hopefully help other people to make the right choice. We're here with Graham Bell and Tom Rosen in Malaga. Hi, guys.
Good afternoon.
And Rob Wiley.
Hello, guys.
Here in Barcelona. My name is Radmila Gorkova. So let's get started. But today we're also going to have some other people connecting. So we're going to have Miroslava and Julie, Melissa and Carlos. We're going to hear their stories as well. So guys, in the first place, why did you decide to move to Spain? What was
Well, for me personally, I'd been many times on holiday with family, friends, etc. to Barcelona and just kind of loved the city. It was just always a place I could see myself spending time, at least for a year or so. Maybe didn't expect to be here for so long now, but yeah, no, it was definitely just everything about the city. I just loved the city, the sort of the way of life, and yeah, it was just definitely a place I wanna spend some time.
When did you decide that was your definite
I decided quite young, I read. And my mum said that when we were on holiday once, when I was kind of sort of 7, 8 years old, I was kind of one day I'm gonna stay there. And I just loved it, the whole kind of lifestyle and the way of life. And then, yeah, I sort of late teens started to seriously consider it a little bit more and think, yeah, I'm gonna make this happen sooner rather than later because I wanted to be here while I was young, and have fun.
And what about you, Graham and Tom?
For me, I absolutely hated my day, and I decided I was going to stop working 60 hours a week and change my life. I'd been on holiday in Malaga, I think, the year before. Fell in love with the city, liked the pace of life, and was like, you know what, I'm going to move.
Yeah.
Apart from the fact of weather, I mean, it's much, much warmer here than it is back home in the UK.
Yes, true. In my case, I sort of seeked a new challenge. I was obviously living in Leeds, well, Huddersfield, my town, and I was working not 60 hours a week. I think that's a bit extreme, but 40 more or less. And I was working from when I was 16 to 19. I had a good job in an office. Really, really nice people I was working with. Good office vibe. But when I was 19, I thought, is this my life now for the next 40 years? Working, going on a weekend, getting drunk with my friends, and doing it all over again on Monday. So I seeked a new experience. I always loved Spain. I loved Malaga. Very, very sunny, and I like learning Spanish. So yeah, I decided to make the move, and that's when I met Graham. Unfortunately.
Your life's never been the same since.
Did Spain change you somehow? What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. Teacher to me, and he has taught me a lot. No, I'm not going to. No, I don't like this question.
Yeah, I mean, when I came when I was 20, just before I turned 21, so it was still quite early. So I've been here for all of my 20s actually. So I think that's kind of a time you kind of change a lot anyway. But yeah, definitely, I think I don't know. I think I would struggle maybe going back to the UK now.
Yeah.
Back to that way of
me
life.
too.
I hate going home.
I love going home for 10 days and then I'm sick of it. No more than 10 days.
Yeah.
I like booking the flight back.
Yeah. So is Spain as you expected to be, or was there something that surprised you when you arrived here? Tom wants to answer first.
Well, yeah, it was surprising. Well, no, I don't know. It's what I expected. Learning a new language, the difficulties of learning a new language, communicating with different people, learning a different culture. It's a fantastic experience.
Yeah.
So yeah, it wasn't surprising for me.
Mm.
It was pretty much what I expected it to be. Meeting new people. I've always been quite outgoing, so it's nice to meet new people.
Yeah, I think it's quite easy to meet new people as well. Go on, Graham, sorry.
No, for me, it was the amount of expats that were here that actually surprised me. I'm quite bad, I try and avoid them as much as possible. When they ask me for directions, I go, "Oh, perdóname, no hablo English."
Yeah.
I avoid them, and it amazed me in Malaga because there's so many expats, especially English or British in general here.
That's an important thing that I tried not to do is because obviously if I was learning the language, I didn't want to get too many friends of native English or anything like that, because ultimately I want to learn Spanish.
Yeah.
So I made a lot of Spanish friends, a lot of Italian friends. And
Is that when you were in Erasmus?
Yeah.
I wasn't in Erasmus, I was just living with Erasmus. And yeah, it was a good experience. It's always speaking in a different language, different cultures,
Yeah, it's good, and I think like with a city like Malaga or Barcelona or Madrid or wherever, you're going to find loads of people. So I think it's very easy for people to get in little sort of ghettos of just English people. But yeah, I think we've all made an effort to do with that. And the thing that surprised me a little bit with Barcelona was that Catalan was so spoken.
Oh, yeah.
Like obviously I knew it was a thing, and I knew it was a huge thing, but I didn't realize it was still something that young kids or teens or people my age still continued doing. I thought maybe it was kind of something that was maybe dying out a little bit, but actually it's the complete opposite. It's still going strong.
It is. Okay, and was there anything unexpected when you moved here that made it difficult maybe? Was it a smooth transition for you?
Yeah, I think it was, for me, I mean, it wasn't too difficult. I didn't know anybody, so maybe I think on lots of comments that we'll have a look at in a bit, I think finding accommodation is something that people find most difficult, but no, I think it was relatively smoothly. I think it always helped knowing that, which maybe someone from the States or elsewhere, we're still quite close to home. So I think having the fact that I knew if it was a disaster and something horribly went wrong, I could be home in 3 hours.
Yeah.
Then that helped a little bit. Maybe it's a bit more difficult for someone who is from the other side of the world.
Yeah, I guess it is. Graham, what about you guys?
For me, what I found really surprised me when I moved here is how many British people have lived here for 30 years and still can't speak any Spanish.
Yeah.
No respect. No respect.
Yeah. A guy, we were getting an address the other day and I got Cali, and I'm like, come on. Cali something, and I was like, that's day one.
It took me a while to get that. Then I couldn't work it out.
We lived with this guy in Malaga, and he just didn't. He lived here for 30 years.
Yeah.
His Spanish was shocking.
But it is actually quite disrespectful, though. I find. We'd be furious. We'd be the first people as a nation if someone was in the UK. Like after a year, if they didn't speak any English, we'd be the first people to be like, "Why don't you speak English already?" So I think it's not very clever.
Why do you think that happens? Because you interact with people from your community, maybe, or
I just think we're not very good with
it's
languages.
just very English.
We're just not very good with languages. But I don't know. Actually, I kind of find myself not making an excuse, but also we've talked a lot about how we don't learn the grammar so much in English when we're learning English. So then I think it is quite difficult for someone who comes to another country, if they've got no idea what a verb is even or what anything is, then how are you expected to learn another language without knowing the grammar? So I think that doesn't help, the fact that we don't learn English grammar in school.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm making excuses, but I'm trying not to make excuses. Excuses for the 13th.
Did you guys know that today is the International Day for Tolerance? Did you know that?
I had no idea.
No.
No.
Anyways, do you think that people here... Yes.
All the time.
All the time. Are people here tolerant, in your opinion? Spanish people, yes?
Really tolerant.
To foreign people.
Towards foreign people, I have to say Giri Ike. People are giving me hassle. We went out the other night, and there was a girl who attacked my level of Spanish.
Oh, funny.
And then I asked her how her English was, and she started speaking English. I was like, okay,
bit awkward.
My Spanish is better than your English, so.
It was good then. I was thinking the other way around. She spoke perfect English.
No, her English was shocking. But sometimes that's really rare. I mean, I find in general Spanish people are way more tolerant of everything. In the South, the acceptance of homosexuality is amazing in comparison to the UK. It's just completely definitely you've noticed that too, right? It's much more tolerant.
Yeah. Yeah, people are a lot nicer as well in general. It's like, for example, one time, it's like a community in Andalusia, feeling of everyone knows each other. This one time, I saw this girl getting on the bus with her children, and she had like 2 children and a baby, so she was pushing the pram onto the bus, and the other children were getting on, and the other Spanish people were just like, come to the other children, because she had to deal with the baby. So this woman was just like, oh, come on, sit on my knee while you wait for your mother. This woman has no idea who this mother is. She's just like, oh, it's just that element of trust, you know.
Yeah,
it's one of the biggest reasons I moved to Spain is the different legislation that they have here. They're not so keen on health and safety. So I love the fact that you can be sitting with your friends, family who have young kids. You can be sitting in a square at 1 o'clock in the morning drinking.
Yeah, that's one.
Whereas in the UK, your kids have to be out the pub by 8 o'clock, I think.
Yeah.
You can't, once you have a family in the UK, you say goodbye to your social life.
Yeah.
But it's different here. I really like that.
Yeah, it is. I would like to have a testimonial from someone from the other end of the world, which is Julie. She's American. And I want to ask her, Julie, for how long have you been in Spain? And if you have blended, if you think that you blended with the society here, and a funny story from you, if you can share with us.
Sure, yeah. So, well, I have a little bit of an opposite experience from Rob. I didn't know Madrid at all before I moved here. So it was very much like kind of like throwing darts at a map and seeing where I'd end up. So in that respect, I think it was kind of just luck that things worked out. And I think as everyone has said, the biggest challenge, I think, has been language. And there's been some miscommunications, nothing really terribly funny, but just more of those embarrassing moments where you might say something and you think that you're expressing yourself really well, and you're ending up just having people look at you like you have 5 heads. So, you know, it's just been those common things. But overall, I think it's been an amazing experience. And like Rob, I didn't expect to be here for 2 years. And now I'm continuing to stay here indefinitely. So it's something where I think, you know, if I had to give some advice for people, it's, you know, if you think you're going to come to Spain and stay here for 3 months, maybe that will happen. Or maybe you'll end up staying here for the long haul, you know?
Yeah.
Very true. Is there anything that you're missing from your home country?
Food. Food as well. We both went straight to food. Go on, Julie, sorry.
Yes.
Peanut butter.
Yeah.
Stop.
Gravy.
Oh, stop now.
That's
It's making me hungry. It's not the good time to be talking about this.
Julie, many thanks. So we have another experience from Miroslava, who is from Eastern Europe. Maybe she can tell us about it. So Mirka, a funny story. I know that you have a funny story and maybe a horror story. So how does it feel to be here in Spain?
Well, it feels great. I remember actually before we moved here, we were considering Valencia even. So, you know, before me and my partner Barcelona, we were like, okay, so where should we really go? So we basis, and based on a long holiday, we have decided that, okay, Barcelona. And mainly that was because of the job opportunities, really. We talked to local people a lot, and, you know, we talked to estate agents who advised us on where to find a flat, what are some of the areas that we should avoid and all that. And so we moved in 1 year ago. basically moved in just before Christmas. So two of the things I kind of didn't expect, or maybe I did expect, and they didn't happen. Is one of them was you cannot find fresh fish here unless you go to a market, right? But I lived in a place where I lived in a small island where they used to literally everywhere on every corner. It was so great, it was cheap, it was healthy, and I kind of thought like, oh, once I moved to Barcelona, that would be the same. I love fresh fish and seafood and all that. So didn't happen. My students, after I started to work for Oxbridge, that we have our fish from Turkey, and I'm like, okay, great.
Really?
So and the other thing, I was very disappointed during Christmas. There's no mulled wine anywhere. I was literally talking about it. There's cheese, well, sangria in summer, but there's no mulled wine. I was even at one point thinking, like, should we open like a little store or something, like a store, during Christmas? It would make big money. And then we talked to one of the local person, and she said that it's actually not allowed for some reason. They wouldn't do that. So yeah, I do have a funny story though. My boyfriend, he comes from Mexico. So obviously he speaks Spanish. However, for me, it's a kind of a long process, so it takes a bit of time. And what I remember, once we moved into Barcelona, it happened to be that we were in some kind of a shop together, and we visited, I don't know, some shop with household items, and this woman is talking to me like if I understood anything. And my boyfriend saw the dead fear in my eyes that I have no idea what she's on about. And so he stepped in and he was like, "I don't speak Spanish." And the best one was the woman's reaction to my boyfriend. She turned to him and she goes, "Well, your Spanish is not the best either." Like, oh my God. He's Mexican. We just couldn't get it. But yeah, one of those things, right?
Oh, brilliant.
So yeah, I kind of forgot about the language as well. Yeah, as Rob said, that was something that you don't think about. That there's actually Catalan language everywhere around rather than Spanish. But in overall, life is good. Life is really good, and people are nice. So for me, it was
You feel great here, it seems.
Yes, I do.
Excellent.
Very much.
Excellent. Thank you, Mirka. Many thanks for that.
Thank you too. Thanks.
Talking about accents, and before we move to Carlos Fong and his testimonial, but talking about accents, we said that Catalan is here the language that is spoken, so we have to deal with it. What about you guys? Are you used to to the accent there? Yes.
No. I love it because it's like from England. It's like Yorkshire because they cut the words. It's like the word entonces is entonces, or estamos is estamos. It's like in Yorkshire we don't use the word the, so we just say like I'm going to the pub, and it's like cutting the words, and it's nice. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, they're very the polite way of saying it is they're very their language. Basically, they cut consonants off of everything, and it just all sounds oh wow wow wow.
That's cool.
It is cool, but it's pretty hard. They speak a lot faster in the south as well because they take the consonants off. So often you hear a sentence and there's 4 words that sound like one, and you have no idea. You try to Google Translate. You're like, what was that?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, because I love an accent as well. Someone with a really strong accent, like I just love it. So I guess something like that is good. Maybe it's not the best for us to learn Spanish, for you guys being down there with maybe not the most correct Spanish, let's say, and here it's a bit difficult because with the Catalan, especially if you're learning, you start after time you know the difference, but when you're first learning you have no idea if it's Spanish, Catalan, so maybe that's not very good from a learning point of view. But
well, actually there are teachers that start speaking Catalan
before Spanish.
Exactly,
because they find it easy.
It's funny. And Carlos, so you are American, but you also have your roots are from Peru. So language wasn't difficult for you. That wasn't your issue. But what is your story?
Well, I have many stories. I think coming as an expat to Barcelona, I traveled here many times as a tourist, like Rob, and I fell in love with the city. And one year, I had enough of winters in Boston and decided to spend a winter here in Barcelona. And now it's 3 years and going on 5. So I just got my visa renovated for 2 more years. So I'll be here until 2020.
Happy days.
Congratulations.
Thank you. As far as transition, um, obviously, I thought my Spanish was good until I arrived here, and I realized that it wasn't quite as good.
So
You're like
Dominica's
Aristotele's boyfriend with the Mexicans
Exactly.
and the Peruvians. What's going on?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it took me, I would say, a good 6 months just to get better. And even now, my friends still make fun of my grammar in Spanish, or if I say something differently, they just make fun. At some point, you just ignore that and continue. But I'm still learning Spanish. Still.
Excellent.
And obviously the food, the food is amazing here, but every now and then I want Wendy's, and we don't have Wendy's.
Wendy's.
There,
And
there, are no,
Denny's.
there are no Wendy's here, they
Little
do
square
have,
hamburgers.
yes, of course, they're the best. They do have great pizza, so that makes up for that Wendy.
Yeah, because there's lots of Italians in Barcelona, so there's lots of good pizza up here. And going on with the Italian theme as well, just quickly, Monica has said that she's found that living abroad, in a way, makes you feel closer to your roots. So, in other words, I really like living here, but at the same time, I tend to hang out a lot with the Italian community to keep our traditions and speak the language, etc. So, yeah, sometimes it is nice. I find myself going to like a pub to watch football a lot with a pint, stuff like that kind of brings you back to your roots.
Yeah, speaking of which, I did a massive search of Peruvian restaurants in Barcelona, and I found a few good ones. So I tend to go at least once a week to have some
Very
Peruvian
nice.
food.
Very nice. Yeah. Where can we find good English food, Rob?
There's lots of places in Barcelona. There's lots of fish and chip shops now, actually.
Yeah.
Tom mentioned fish and chips
Really? Where?
before. In Barcelona. So there's this new chain of like fish and chip shops that are popping up all around the city. So I have been once and had some fish and chips. It was all right.
I'll go there. I'll go there.
I'm also Barcelona.
We go to Tom's mum's house. We go to Tom's mum's house for English food.
Yeah, egg and soldiers.
Oh, stop. It's making me hungry, guys. We need to talk.
Many thanks, Carlos. And let's hear Melissa's testimonial. Melissa, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, so for how long have you been in Spain? Well, you live in Madrid currently, right?
I live in Madrid, but I've been living in Madrid since for 18 years.
Okay.
And before that, I was living for 2 years in a little town called Trujillo, which is in the west, which is close to Portugal.
So I guess you feel pretty much like a Spaniard already.
It's funny because I mean I've been half my life in the U.S. I left there when I was 20. Now I've been here for the next 20 years of my life. I'll always be the Gidi. I'll always be the American. But I mean, in every group, just because really I don't have any English speaking friends. It's not because I don't want to. It's just that because I settled into a Spanish lifestyle a long time ago. I got married. All my colleagues, it's all my friends, all the neighbors. Everyone is completely Spanish. And one of the things after being here for so many years is just the fact that I miss my roots. I miss them horribly. I think that I get very jealous of people who, I have children, I have a husband, but not having any of my biological family that I grew up with, it wears on me. I get very jealous of the Spaniards because they're so family oriented. So it sometimes gets tiring because my husband's family is far away as well. So you know, we try to invite people over or go out on a Sunday or a Saturday, and everyone has family plans. So everyone is going shopping with their mother, having dinner with the grandparents. I mean, so they're very family oriented. So I mean, I know you didn't ask the question, do I miss anything? But I guess that's just when I was, you know, listening to the other questions, and that was the kind of the most prominent thing on my mind. What's difficult after so many years and being so far away from the States? And for me, it's you always miss your roots. Yeah. So should I continue?
That was very interesting. Thank you. Many thanks, Melissa. Thank you for that. So I think we have some answers here.
Yeah, we've got lots of comments. I'm going to try and put them all together. Lots of the most difficult and the horror stories are kind of connected. So a lot of it's to do with accommodation. So finding accommodation, I've heard lots of horror stories of accommodation, paperwork as well. So visas, the NIA, stuff like that. I know it can be a nightmare. It was easy when I did it actually for the NIA, but now obviously the rules have changed and it's more difficult.
Yeah, but eventually they get it.
Yeah, you always get it. It's fine, and there's people who can help you as well, right? Whether it's a sort of a company or there's agencies and stuff that do it. Lots of the most difficult. Sorry.
No, I wanted to add here that actually we had one of our community members, Autumn. She just had her papers. She's American and she was on a student visa. And through the Oxinity project, actually, she got a work visa, which was a great success. So eventually things happen.
Yeah.
You end up having the NIA, getting the NIA and accommodation, etc.
Yeah, I've got a question from Matt, which says, how does living in and learning a new culture help us in teaching students in Spain?
Yes, what do you guys think?
I'll put you on the spot there.
There comes the bus. Shared experience. Like we were talking last week about humor, but definitely, you know, being able to share where we make mistakes when we are speaking Spanish really kind of gives a bit more confidence to the student. I even sometimes speak a bit of Spanish and they kind of look at me and go, yeah, it's awful. So they kind of feel a little bit better. That's one of the things, and sort of, shared culture.
Yeah.
I mean, learning from them and be able to develop bonds. You know, funny experiences have helped me a lot. What about you?
Yeah. Well, like my experience in their culture and like the situation and how I adapted or how I'm adapting to their culture, and also like sharing if they ever visited England and maybe how they might have adapted to that culture if they live there maybe. But yeah, maybe just like the experience of living here and just talking about it.
The contrasts make good conversation.
Yeah, the contrasts of the cultures are different. People.
Yeah.
Excellent. Graham, any tips on dating in a foreign language?
He's the man to go to.
Yeah. No.
Google Translate.
Use Google Translate. I mean, I
and paste.
I have so much fun when I speak to some of the new TEFL students. We get a lot of young 20-year-olds. I have a lot of laughs during the course about the fun using Tinder in Spanish in Google Translate. And then you go to meet someone and you're just like, oh my God, this conversation went so well with Google Translate. They start talking with their local accent and you're like, oh God. It's a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Definitely a good way to learn the language. I think like most of my Spanish through Tinder dating. What about you?
I don't use Tinder dating, but like sometimes on WhatsApp. I've never used Tinder. I'm more of a natural guy. Anyway, so like on WhatsApp maybe sometimes if you're getting a bit overconfident and you're like, oh yeah, I speak perfect Spanish, you can sort of Google Translate it and then do the audio.
Oh no!
And then they can be like, good Spanish, and then when you meet the girl, she's like, okay.
You've got to stop using photos of Ryan Gosling.
Yeah.
I don't need to use photos of Ryan Gosling.
But yeah, that's half the fun. Honestly, I find it the best way. I've actually said to a student, they asked me, what's the best way to learn English? I'm like, get yourself an English girlfriend.
Yeah.
And he said, what will my wife say about that? And I was like, just tell me teacher said it was good.
You got to listen to the teacher, right? So.
Nice. Any advice for new teachers?
Well, I was going to say from reading some of the comments, a lot of it is about just being patient. So although we mentioned about, sorry about the near being difficult, just be patient with it.
Yeah.
You know, you'll get there eventually.
You'll get there. Yeah.
Having savings is another thing that's come up that actually probably is some good advice to have some.
I spent all mine.
Yeah, I blew mine in the first like 2 months here. It was all gone.
Drunk night.
Yeah. Don't remember it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't remember it very well.
It was good fun. But yeah, so advice and maybe as well practicing or getting as much of the basics of Spanish as you can before coming.
Doing your NIA before you arrive in Spain, biggest advice I'd give to someone.
Yeah.
I discovered when I was here that I could have done it in one day in Edinburgh before I left, and I'm like, why didn't I do that?
Yeah.
And when I speak to potential TEFL guys from outside of Spain who are coming here, I'm like, go to the consulate and do your NIA before you get here. Save yourself a week of headache.
That's a very useful advice.
Yeah, it's a good one actually
for
because
everyone.
it's a nightmare. Yeah. So it's all tends to be the same thing, and then there's lots of funny stories. I mean, we can't go through them all, but lots of them about Spanish and the use of guapo and guapa as well, and and the kisses and stuff like that. You know, I know when I first arrived, having lived in France, where I grew up in France, we did 3, so a lot. When I got here, I went for the 3rd one, and then the girl was kind of like, "What are you doing now? There's only 2 here," you know. So that was some getting used to. So lots of like, it all tends to be sort of language related. And Paul's mentioned the puente as well.
Oh yeah.
The classic Spanish puente.
Yeah, the bridge.
The bridge.
Anyway, excellent. So a lot of funny stories. We're going to post them in a blog post very soon for everyone to be able to read. If you have more comments and stories to share, feel free to do it. And whatever your reasons are to come to Spain, just bear in mind that it's a welcoming country, great weather, nice food, and a lot of job opportunities, especially teaching English.
Yeah, there's loads of work, right? I think.
Exactly. So that's all. Many thanks, guys. That was very useful. And I hope to see you next week on Friday.
See you guys.
Bye-bye.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Bye-bye.
Ciao. Ciao.
Ciao.